has been outlined by our party leader. In 2013 and 2014 was 28.1%, with the latest figures from the 2019 to 2020 Household Income and Expenditure Survey showing that poverty has increased to 30%, which means that more people today are poorer than when the annual reports were written from 2014 to 2017. This tells us, Honorable Speaker, that 30 households out of every 100 households are deemed to be falling into the poverty category, and this is a vicious cycle and bringing them into a deep debt trap which is difficult to get out of. Honorable Speaker, some of the issues raised in this report which makes the work difficult for the ministry to manage is firstly the geographical dispersion of the offices all around the city and the country, and trying to find enough room for the personnel and storage space for all the documents and equipment is not easy, since the ministry has to manual most of its work rather than storing it digitally. In this regard, Honorable Speaker, one of the recommendations of this report is that the ministry should work closely with the Ministry of Economy and other stakeholders for appropriate resources to upgrade its IDC unit and to strengthen its network for setting up the ministry's database. On June the 7th, 2019, Fiji Village states that the digital Fiji app will create a people's hub, and I quote, Honorable Speaker, so that when someone applies for government services, people's basic information can be checked if they qualify, for example, for social welfare assistance. And this is highlighted in the OAG report, Auditor General's report, audit, which was the parliamentary paper number 151 of 2019. However, Honorable Speaker, we hardly hear anything of this app. Is the app working or not to facilitate and assist the most needy? Or was it just a lot of hype, a lot of talk, but no action to help the people who are waiting in hope that they will be assisted out of the cycle of poverty? Another recommendation, Honorable Speaker, is that the ministry liaise closely with the Ministry of Economy to ensure that adequate resources are provided for any new program. According to this review report, which we are looking at presently, Honorable Speaker, of the years 2014 to 2017, each year the ministry is requested to take on new programs, like, for example, in 2016 to 2017, it was the Help for Homes initiative. In 2018, there were 3 new programs, which were the home care, bundle insurance, and the third one was the bus fare top-up. The Honorable Minister, Honorable Speaker, is not only expected to juggle all the balls in the air without dropping any, but also to work miracles with a fixed budget on these programs that require rapid deployment of resources and funds, with the ministry having to adjust its initial budgets and resources to accommodate the new programs. Thus, Honorable Speaker, according to this report, disruption is caused on the normal activities and place additional stress on the resources that are available to the ministry and impact on its output. However, if you dig a bit deeper, Honorable Speaker, you will find it is not as clear as it may seem on the surface or as addressed in the review report. One such provision was in the 2016 to 2017 budget item titled Help for Homes Initiative, which was allocated 20 million. In the 2018 to 2019 budget estimate, this allocation was revised upwards to 44.9 million. We must appreciate, Honorable Speaker, that this is not a program, as it was for only 1 year, and it is a one-off project. Although this report states that it is the responsibility of the Ministry of Women, Children and Welfare, this Help for Homes initiative was parked in Head 50, which is under the Minister for Economy. Its implementation, according to the Auditor General's audit report, is by the Construction Implementation Unit, which is understaffed but under the Ministry of Economy. So why is this project, which is stated here in the report, under the Ministry for Social Welfare, when the person holding the full authority is the Minister of Economy, where he makes all the decisions on this allocation? This is very puzzling indeed, Honorable Speaker, and poses more questions than answers. Lastly, on social welfare, the audit report states that the life certificates were not issued to recipients in accordance with the SOPs. Necessary verification from FNPF were not carried out before approving payouts, and in some instances, worryingly, payments were made to recipients who had been deceased 12 years and beyond, which is depriving people qualified for assistance from receiving the help that they need. The key findings that were noted was that it was the internal controls that needed to be managed better to ensure the ministry evaluates and reviews its SOPs to ensure that application and payment processes are fully complied with, to halt the cycle of poverty and the debt trap that people may get themselves into because of the system's inefficiency and ineffectiveness. Interestingly enough, Honorable Speaker, according to the Auditor General's audit reports for the year ending 2016, the Ministry of Economy's internal audit and governance division carried out an investigation for recipients who breached the Help for Homes initiative, and the investigation has been handed over to the police. So maybe, Honorable Speaker, the chair of the committee, in his right of reply, can update us on some of these programs, especially the Help for Homes initiative, which sounded so promising when it was first introduced here in Parliament, and how these breaches are being addressed, as this can be revived and promoted from project to program to assist people, especially with the cyclones and other natural disasters that will continue to affect the country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the Honorable